What if I told you that intelligence has almost nothing to do with your IQ score? That the way you've been taught to measure intelligence your whole life is only scratching the surface? Because here's the truth. Intelligence is not just about memorizing facts, solving math problems, or getting the highest grades in school. That's one version of intelligence, but it's far from the whole story. In fact, there are levels of intelligence most people don't even know exist, levels that can completely change the way you see yourself and the people around you. Think about it for a second. You've probably met people who are terrible at academics but somehow thrive in the real world. They can solve problems on the spot, connect with people effortlessly, and build things out of nothing. And then there are people who seem quiet, reflective, or creative, the ones who think differently, who notice what others ignore, who come up with ideas that shift the way we live. Those people aren't always labeled as geniuses, but make no mistake, they are operating on an entirely different level of intelligence. The crazy part? Nobody teaches you this in school. You're told you're either smart or not smart, based on a test or a grade. But life doesn't work like that. Human intelligence is layered. It evolves, it grows, and it shows up in different forms depending on how you use your mind. And the most fascinating thing? You already have access to more levels of intelligence than you realize. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand right now, and more importantly, you'll know what level you can unlock next. Because once you see these levels, you'll never look at yourself the same way again. Setting the stage. Why does defining intelligence even matter? Because the way we understand it shapes how we see ourselves and how we see others. For generations, people have been boxed into labels like smart or dumb, often based on nothing more than grades, test scores, or how quickly they can memorize information. And here's the problem with that. Those labels stick. A child who doesn't score well in school grows up believing they're less intelligent, when in reality they may be gifted in ways the system doesn't even measure. The truth is, being book smart is only one very narrow slice of what intelligence really is. It's useful, yes. Knowing how to study, analyze, and recall facts has its place. But think about the people who have changed the world. Were they always the ones who aced every exam? Many of them were the dreamers, the problem solvers, the ones who could see what others missed. Some struggled in school, but thrived in life because their intelligence showed up differently. Intelligence isn't just about storing knowledge, it's about how you use your mind to navigate life. It's the way you adapt when plans fall apart. It's the way you connect with people, how you manage your emotions, how you create new ideas, and even how you understand deeper questions about existence. Each of these is its own kind of intelligence, and each one matters just as much as being able to solve an equation or write an essay. The reason this matters so much is because once you break the myth that intelligence is only about academics, you stop limiting yourself. You stop comparing yourself to someone else's strengths and start recognizing your own. And when you can see the bigger picture of intelligence, you realize that everyone has untapped potential. The challenge is simply figuring out which form of intelligence you already excel in and which one you can grow into. Defining intelligence in this broader way doesn't just change how we measure people, it changes how we live, how we work, and how we connect. It means intelligence is not a fixed number, it's a journey. And that journey looks different for everyone. Basic survival intelligence, at the very foundation of human intelligence, lies something we often overlook because it feels so natural. Survival intelligence. This is the most primitive form of intelligence, the kind that kept our ancestors alive long before books, technology, or even language existed. Imagine early humans navigating a dangerous world. They didn't have calculators or classrooms, but they had instincts. They knew how to sense danger in the rustling of bushes, how to find food in the wilderness, and how to adapt when the environment changed. That was intelligence in its rawest form. Survival intelligence is built on awareness. It's the ability to notice small signals that something isn't right, the smell of smoke before a fire spreads, the look on someone's face that warns you of potential threat, or even the gut feeling that tells you to avoid a risky situation. Early humans relied on these instincts every single day, and it's the reason we're still here today. They weren't passing written tests, but they were passing the test of life itself. And here's what's fascinating. Survival intelligence isn't just some relic of the past, it's still alive in us today. Think about the times when you've acted almost automatically to protect yourself, slamming the brakes before an accident, pulling your hand away from something hot before you even think about it, or noticing when someone feels off even though they haven't said a word. That's survival intelligence working silently in the background. In modern times, survival intelligence can also look like knowing how to handle stress, how to adapt when things go wrong, or even how to protect yourself financially and emotionally. It's not glamorous, and it doesn't always get recognized, but without it, none of the higher levels of intelligence could exist. It's the foundation that every other form of intelligence is built on. When you strip life down to its core, intelligence starts with one question: can you keep yourself alive and safe? From the caves of early humanity to the chaos of modern cities, survival intelligence proves that the mind's first job isn't to solve math problems, it's to make sure you see another day. Everything else builds from there. Practical street intelligence is survival intelligence is about staying alive, then practical or street intelligence is about knowing how to actually live in the real world. This form of intelligence shows up in people who may not shine in classrooms or test environments, but when life throws real challenges at them, they thrive. It's the ability to figure things out when the rules aren't written down, when the system doesn't give you step-by-step instructions. You've probably met someone like this. Maybe they weren't the top student, but they always seem to know how to get things done. They can fix problems on the spot, talk their way through complicated situations, or find creative shortcuts that others miss. Street smart people are often underestimated because their intelligence doesn't fit into the traditional mold. But in the real world, they're the ones who move ahead while so-called geniuses are still stuck overthinking. The secret behind this kind of intelligence is adaptability. A street smart person looks at a problem and asks, what actually works here, instead of just reciting what they learned in a textbook. For example, imagine someone with a perfect degree, but no clue how to negotiate rent, manage money, or navigate office politics. Compare that to someone with average grades, who can read people, spot opportunities, and make smart moves in tricky situations, who's really better equipped for life. Practical intelligence also thrives on experience. It comes from trial and error, from making mistakes and learning quickly. That's why many successful entrepreneurs, leaders or problem solvers didn't necessarily excel in school. Their intelligence came from the streets, from real interactions, from understanding how the world actually works, not just how it looks on paper. What makes this level so powerful is that it bridges the gap between knowledge and action. You don't just know something, you know how to use it when it counts, and while survival intelligence keeps you alive, practical intelligence makes sure you can build, progress and thrive in society. It's no wonder that so many average students end up outsmarting so-called geniuses, because in life, it's not about how much you know, it's about how well you can use what you know when the world puts you to the test. Social intelligence. If practical intelligence helps you navigate the world, social intelligence helps you navigate people, and people are often the hardest part of life. Social intelligence is the ability to read emotions, understand unspoken signals, and build genuine connections. It's not about manipulation or charm alone, it's about truly grasping how people think, feel, and respond. Think of the people who seem to walk into a room and instantly connect with everyone. They know how to break the ice, sense when someone feels left out, or calm down tense situations before they explode. That's social intelligence at work. It's not about being the loudest or the most popular, it's about being tuned into the emotions and needs of others. At its core, social intelligence is powered by empathy. Empathy is more than just feeling bad for someone, it's stepping into their shoes, understanding their perspective, and responding in a way that makes them feel seen and valued. People with high social intelligence know how to listen, not just hear. They pay attention to body language, tone, and subtle cues that most people overlook, and because of that they can influence others without forcing it. This influence is where the hidden power lies. Throughout history, some of the most impactful leaders weren't the smartest in terms of IQ, but they had the ability to inspire, unite, and guide people. Whether it's a leader motivating a nation, a friend who knows how to lift your spirits, or a negotiator who can find common ground in conflict, social intelligence is the tool that makes relationships thrive. What's fascinating is that social intelligence often decides success more than raw knowledge. Studies have shown that people who can collaborate, communicate, and lead often climb higher in careers and life, even if they aren't the genius in the room. Because the truth is, we don't live alone. No matter what you want to achieve, you'll need people along the way. This level of intelligence proves something powerful. Being able to understand others is just as important as understanding equations or strategies. Social intelligence doesn't just make you likable, it makes you unforgettable. And in a world built on relationships, that's a form of intelligence that can change everything. Creative intelligence. Creative intelligence is the spark that allows people to see what doesn't yet exist. It's the ability to think outside the box, connect unrelated ideas, and bring something new into the world. While other forms of intelligence may focus on solving problems that already exist, creative intelligence imagines solutions no one else has even thought of yet. It's invention, innovation, and imagination rolled into one. Society often underestimates creative thinkers because they don't always fit into neat categories. They may struggle in rigid environments like schools or workplaces that value memorization and repetition over originality. A student who doodles in class or challenges traditional methods is often dismissed as distracted or rebellious. Yet, history shows us that these are the very people who later disrupt industries, create movements, and shift the way humanity lives. Think about the inventors, artists, and innovators who shaped the world. Thomas Edison didn't just accept darkness, he imagined the light bulb. Steve Jobs didn't just design computers, he created an entire culture around technology that changed how we live. Even in art, music, and storytelling, creative intelligence has the power to influence emotions and transform societies. What starts as an idea in one person's mind can ripple out and touch millions of lives. The reason creative intelligence is so underestimated is because it doesn't always show immediate results. Logical intelligence can solve a math problem right away. Practical intelligence can fix something on the spot. But creative intelligence often looks like daydreaming or wasting time until the idea finally clicks, and then it changes everything. It requires patience, experimentation, and often a willingness to fail again and again before succeeding. What makes creative intelligence so vital is that it pushes humanity forward. Without it, we'd still be living in caves, repeating the same patterns endlessly. It's creativity that builds bridges, writes novels that change hearts, designs art that inspires movements, and invents technologies that redefine entire generations. At this level of intelligence, you're not just solving problems, you're rewriting the rules of the game. And while creative thinkers may be doubted at first, history has proven one thing over and over: society only underestimates creatives until their vision becomes impossible to ignore. Then suddenly, they're the ones leading the way. Emotional intelligence, often called EQ, is one of the most powerful yet overlooked forms of intelligence. It's not about how much you know or how fast you can think, it's about how well you can understand and manage emotions, both your own and those of others. At its core, emotional intelligence is made up of three key abilities: self-awareness, self-control, and resilience. Self-awareness means knowing yourself on a deeper level, your strengths, weaknesses, triggers, and patterns. People with high EQ don't just react blindly, they understand why they feel a certain way and can adjust their behavior accordingly. Self-control is the next piece. It's the ability to pause, breathe, and respond rather than explode in anger, panic, or frustration. And resilience is what keeps you standing tall in the middle of chaos, when everything around you seems to be falling apart. Why is this form of intelligence so important? Because life is unpredictable. Things go wrong, people disappoint you, and pressure builds. In those moments, raw IQ or even practical skills won't save you. What matters is whether you can stay calm, adapt, and keep moving forward. That's where emotional intelligence shines. While others crack under stress, those with high EQ use chaos as fuel. They stay level-headed, think clearly, and even help others find stability. Consider leaders during a crisis. The ones who succeed aren't always the smartest on paper. They're the ones who can steady the room, inspire trust, and guide people through uncertainty. Or think about personal relationships. Someone with high EQ knows how to de-escalate conflicts, communicate with empathy, and build stronger connections rather than letting emotions tear things apart. The beauty of emotional intelligence is that it can be developed. You don't have to be born with it. By practicing self-reflection, learning to pause before reacting, and training yourself to see challenges as opportunities instead of threats, you build resilience that most people never reach. In a world full of chaos, emotional intelligence becomes a superpower. It's the difference between breaking under pressure and thriving in it. And the higher your EQ, the more you realize that true strength isn't about controlling the world, it's about mastering yourself. Analytical, logical intelligence. When most people hear the word intelligence, this is the level they immediately think of: analytical or logical intelligence. It's a classic IQ-driven way of measuring how smart someone is. This type of intelligence deals with problem solving, mathematics, reasoning, and abstract thinking. It's the ability to analyze situations, see patterns, and break down complex problems into clear, step-by-step solutions. From solving equations to designing computer algorithms, analytical intelligence has shaped the modern world in massive ways. Scientists, engineers, doctors, and strategists often rely heavily on this level of intelligence to make discoveries, build systems, and solve problems that others can't even begin to tackle. It's no wonder society often puts this form of intelligence on a pedestal. It's measurable, it's testable, and it produces results that are easy to see and respect. But here's where many people get it wrong. While analytical intelligence is powerful, it's incomplete on its own. You can be brilliant at solving complex equations, yet completely lost when it comes to managing your emotions, understanding people, or adapting to unpredictable real-life situations. That's why so many geniuses struggle outside of academic or technical fields. They may know the theory, but they can't always apply it in the messy, emotional, and fast-changing reality of life. Another limitation of this type of intelligence is that it thrives in structure, formulas, systems, clear problems with clear answers. But life doesn't always hand you problems that can be solved with a neat equation. Sometimes there's no formula, no obvious solution, and no data to analyze. That's when other forms of intelligence, like creativity, social skills, or emotional awareness, become just as important, if not more. Still, analytical intelligence remains one of the most respected because it's the most visible. You can measure it with tests, numbers, and grades, and that makes it easy for society to reward. But the truth is, some of the smartest people in the world, at least in this traditional sense, are not always the most successful or fulfilled. Logical intelligence is a powerful tool, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. Without the balance of creativity, resilience, and emotional awareness, it risks becoming like a computer, brilliant at calculation, but limited in the art of living. Philosophical or reflective intelligence goes beyond solving problems in the external world. It turns inward and asks the questions most people avoid. This level of intelligence is about seeking meaning, understanding morality, and reflecting on the bigger picture of existence. It's not just what should I do, but why should I do it, and what does it mean to live a good life. Few people reach this level because it requires stepping outside of daily survival, beyond the noise of careers, money, and social validation. It demands stillness, self-examination, and the courage to face uncomfortable truths. Many people are so busy running through the motions of life that they never stop to ask deeper questions. But those who do begin to access a form of intelligence that transforms not just what they know, but how they live. Reflective intelligence shows up in philosophers, spiritual teachers, and thinkers who question the systems we live in. But it's not limited to them. Anyone who pauses to reflect on their choices, values, and the impact they have on the world is tapping into this form of intelligence. It's a friend who asks, is this really making you happy? Or the leader who wonders, am I serving people or just chasing power? What makes this level transformative is that it shifts perspective. When you start questioning not just how to live, but why you live the way you do, you begin to uncover meaning. You realize that intelligence isn't just about efficiency or success, it's about alignment with your values, your purpose, and your humanity. Reflective intelligence also helps in making ethical decisions. Instead of blindly following rules or traditions, people at this level think deeply about right and wrong, justice and fairness, truth and deception. They ask questions like, what kind of world am I helping to build? And what legacy will I leave behind? These aren't questions with simple answers, but exploring them makes life richer, more intentional, and more authentic. This is why so few reach this level, because it requires slowing down in a world that constantly pushes you to speed up. Yet for those who do, it's transformative. Philosophical intelligence doesn't just change your mind, it changes your entire way of being. Integrative intelligence is where everything starts to come together. It's not just about excelling in one area, it's about weaving multiple forms of intelligence into a single, powerful way of thinking and living. People at this level don't just rely on logic, or creativity, or social skills alone. Instead they act as connectors, blending survival instincts, practical problem solving, emotional awareness, creativity, and logic into one seamless approach to life. What makes this level so remarkable is that it creates versatility. A specialist may be brilliant in one narrow field, but when the world throws them into a situation outside of their expertise, they can feel stuck. The integrative thinker, on the other hand, adapts. They can draw from creative intelligence to invent, emotional intelligence to connect with people, and logical intelligence to structure a plan, all at once. They're not trapped in one lane, they move across many. This is why some of the smartest people in history weren't just experts, but visionaries who combined knowledge across different fields. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't only an artist, he was an engineer, scientist, and thinker who merged art with science to create ideas centuries ahead of his time. In the modern world, innovators like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs didn't succeed because they specialized in one subject alone. They succeeded because they connected technology, design, psychology, and business into a single vision. Integrative intelligence also thrives on pattern recognition. These individuals can see links between ideas that seem unrelated to others. Where most people see separate pieces, integrative thinkers see how creativity supports logic, how emotions influence decisions, how philosophy guides leadership, and because of that, they're often the ones who come up with breakthroughs that change industries, cultures, or even civilizations. The beauty of this level is that it values balance over extremes. It's not about being the best at one form of intelligence, but about learning how to pull from each when it's needed most. It's about knowing that creativity without discipline can collapse, or logic without empathy can become cold and destructive. The smartest people, therefore, aren't always the specialists buried deep in one subject. They're the connectors of knowledge, the ones who understand that intelligence is most powerful when it doesn't stand alone, but when it works together. Transcendent intelligence is the rarest and highest form of intelligence, a state that goes beyond knowledge, beyond logic, and even beyond creativity. It's not just about solving problems or combining different skills. It's about tapping into wisdom, intuition, and vision that feel almost timeless. At this level, intelligence is less about what you know and more about what you understand about life itself. People who reach this level often seem different from the rest. They think on a scale that goes beyond personal success or immediate goals. Instead, they focus on humanity, purpose, and the bigger picture of existence. Leaders who guide societies through chaos, visionaries who imagine futures we can't yet see, and spiritual teachers who inspire generations, all of them draw from transcendent intelligence. What makes this level so rare is that it requires letting go of ego. Most intelligence is about proving how much you know or how capable you are. But transcendent intelligence is about humility, understanding that no matter how much you know, it's just a drop in the ocean of truth. It's about trusting intuition when logic falls short, and seeing possibilities where others only see limitations. This is the intelligence of people who can sense patterns in human behavior, anticipate where the world is heading, and act with clarity, even when uncertainty surrounds them. They don't just react to life, they seem to dance with it, turning obstacles into lessons and challenges into stepping stones. Their wisdom feels less like knowledge gained from books, and more like insight drawn from deep reflection, experience, or even something beyond themselves. History remembers people at this level, not just for what they built, but for how they transformed the way others thought and lived. Figures like Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., or great philosophers and sages weren't only intelligent, they were transcendent. They carried a vision that outlived them, a perspective that shaped entire generations. Transcendent intelligence is powerful because it operates above fear, competition, and ego. It doesn't just solve problems, it elevates humanity. While most people spend their lives surviving, solving, or creating, only a few ever touch this rare level. And those who do leave behind something far greater than success. They leave behind legacy. So now that you've seen all the levels of intelligence, the real question is, where do you stand? Are you operating at the basic levels, just surviving and navigating daily life? Or have you started moving into higher forms, building emotional strength, tapping into creativity, connecting different kinds of intelligence together? Maybe you've even touched the rarest level, where wisdom and vision guide your choices. Wherever you are, remember this: intelligence is not a fixed destination, it's not a number or a label, it's a journey, and every single one of us has the power to climb higher. Think about it: the person you are today is not the person you were 5 years ago, and it won't be the person you are 5 years from now. Intelligence evolves. The levels you've unlocked so far are only the beginning. There are still parts of your mind waiting to be awakened, perspectives waiting to shift, and strengths you haven't even discovered yet. So, which level are you operating on right now, and which one are you chasing next? That's not a rhetorical question. I want you to pause, really reflect, and then share your answer. Comment below your level. I want to see how many of you are ready to climb higher. And if this video has opened your eyes to something new, don't stop here, because this is only the surface. The next video will dig even deeper into the hidden truths about the mind, the kind of truths that can completely change how you see yourself and the world around you. So, hit that subscribe button, because you don't want to miss what's coming. Your journey to the higher levels of intelligence has only just begun.